In this video, I'm counting down my favorite comics that I read in 2020. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, then hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on what we have to offer here. So if you're not new here, then you know I've been reading comics for about a year and a half now. I bought my first comics ongoing back in May of 2019. So 2020 was my first year buying comics every single week. And so with that, I've read a lot of books this year. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the ones that were most exciting for me. The books that kept me coming back to the comic shop. The books that consistently floated to the top of my to-read pile. And because of all that, what I'm most excited about continuing in 2021. So I've got some indie books here. I've got some Marvel books here. I've got DC books, and we'll probably have some honorable mentions also. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with the indie books. There's two indie books that made my list. Now, I'll preface this by saying I don't read a lot of indie books. I'm very much a superhero guy, as you can see behind me, or actually you can't because I got these lights down a little bit lower today. But my favorite hero is Batman. And then from Batman, I kind of branched out to the other people that had cartoon series in the 90s. So Spider-Man, the X-Men, and so on. And so reading indie books wasn't really on my list of things to do. But because I watch the Ultimate Comics live show every week and they're always recommending good indie titles, I decided to give a couple of them a try. And my favorites are right here. So we'll start off with Seven Secrets. Seven Secrets is written by Tom Taylor with artwork by Danielle DiNicuolo. I don't know how we say that, but Seven Secrets is currently on issue number 5. Number 6 is coming soon, and I've really enjoyed it. Now, I know Tom Taylor's work from Deceased. He also wrote Injustice. I have the omnibus, but I have not read it yet. I haven't even stretched that spine out. But yeah, so I know Tom Taylor from Deceased, and I really enjoyed Deceased and Deceased Unkillables and Deceased Dead Planet, which is still going now. But this was his creator-owned series, Seven Secrets. And it follows, our main character is Casper here. And he is the holder of a secret. There's this secret order of keepers and holders and protectors who are trying to defend these 7 secrets. Now, as of right now in the story, we don't really know what the secrets are and why they're so important to be held. We just know there are people after them. And so you've got some espionage, you've got straight up action, and some really cool family stuff is in this book as well. And Tom Taylor does those things very well. This is one of those books where it's you pick it up, and at the end of the issue, it leads perfectly to the next. You want to keep reading. Tom Taylor's great with those thriller type paces. And so I'm really excited about it, and I'm super excited to see what happens in the next issue and in the year ahead. So that is Seven Secrets. Like I said, there's only 5 issues, so if you want to go ahead and get caught up, please do so. Now, the next book that I'm looking at is also, I think we're at 5 issues right now, but this is Firepower. Firepower, written by Robert Kirkman with artwork by Chris Samney. Now, Firepower is really cool. It follows this guy, Owen. Now, Firepower is really cool because it launched in an interesting way. So, with the coronavirus and everything, Free Comic Book Day kind of got canceled this year. But the Free Comic Book Day from Skybound was this book, Firepower. So there was a graphic novel prelude that was not free. You had to buy that. But it was a full trade, and the trade was basically issue 1 or issue 0 in comic terms. And then the Free Comic Book Day book was issue number 1. So you read the trade, and then you read the first issue, and you got a lot of backstory. Now, if you just start with issue 1, you're good. You can follow just by starting with issue 1, but you're going to want to go back and read that prelude as well. Anyway, Firepower is, I think, up to 6 issues now. This is issue 3 in my hand, and I've really enjoyed it. It's about this guy, Owen, who is basically trying to find himself. He's adopted, so he wants to find out more about his birth parents, excuse me. Come to find out, they're like Kung Fu Shaolin masters of this old tribe. And he goes and he stumbles upon that tribe. And they're trying to learn the lost art of firepower. It's kind of like fire bending in Avatar. But it's really cool. So he learns his martial arts. He masters it. He becomes the first one to, really bring back the firepower. And there's always like that kind of conflict because you're the new kid on the block, but you're better than the veterans. And then we kind of fast forward to his present day life, and his Firepower series occurs in present day life where he's living with his wife and his kids, and his past is coming back to haunt him. So very cool series. I'm really enjoying it. Great job, Robert Kirkman. So those were the two indie books. And I guess we'll move on to Marvel at this point. So, hands down, what I've been most excited about from Marvel is the Dawn of X. I read House of X and Powers of 10 last year, and that was really exciting. And then I, got on board with the Dawn of X titles. Now, the three titles that I read most often are X-Men, X-Force, and Marauders. Every single month, I grab those three. I do also subscribe to Wolverine. I'm currently subscribed to Sword, and I grabbed the entire Ten of Swords event. So there are other titles that are marked are in there. There's Cable and Hellions and Excalibur, New Mutants. There's a lot of X titles right now. I can't do every single X title. One, some of them are kind of boring to me. I'm not as interested in like the mystical or magic stuff that you might find in Excalibur. The same with New Mutants. And a lot of them just kind of focus on characters that I just don't have a vested interest in. But either way, you try to stay on board with what's going on, because there are through lines that are woven all through each book that are important to the overall saga of what's going on in the X-Men world on Krakoa. But yeah, these are the books that I read most often. So I'm going to lump them all together and just say Hickman's X-Men, The Dawn of X, and I think we're moving on to The Reign of X that's coming soon. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be all about. So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about from Marvel. Now with DC, there were a couple of series that I really enjoyed. The first, let's talk about Batman. So Batman is my favorite superhero, and it's not even close. Like, I've been a Batman fan since I was like 5. Whenever the Batman animated series came out, when I was in daycare, I was watching it. I loved it. I think that series premiered in 92, which means I've been watching Batman since I was 1 or 2, right? So I love Batman. And when I started picking up Batman, it was during the City of Bane. I started picking it up with issue 75, which was the first issue of Tom King's final story arc. And I gotta tell you, I really, really did not like it. The artwork was inconsistent. The story I felt was all over the place. And maybe it's because I was jumping in, 75 issues into someone's run. Eventually I'll go back and read it. But I did not like what Tom King was doing. It just wasn't all that great. There was some issues that would grab me, and then the next issue would be super lackluster and inconsistent. And so when James Tynion took over with Batman issue 86 last year, I was very excited to see what was to come. And, we got some quick story threads, and they all led up to this Batman the Joker War that started from issues 95 to 100. And, without spoiling anything, what I'll say is that the Joker War was super exciting. Probably my favorite thing that happened with Batman this year. And that includes 3 Jokers. But, Batman is, Joker knows Batman's identity and he uses it against him in ways that you expect and a couple ways that you don't expect. But what's even more exciting than the Joker War is the aftermath of it and all the things that are going on in Batman right now. Bruce Wayne, can't be Batman as he's been in the past. He can't live in Wayne Manor, and he's got to really be more of a street level hero living in the heart of Gotham. And that is something I'm very excited about. So I'm excited to see how Tynion's run shapes up in 2021. Of course, we've got a big break coming with Future State, but as soon as March hits, I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm excited to see what the new Joker series looks like. I've really fallen in love with the character Punchline, but I'll talk about her in another video. But yeah, so Batman is what I'm excited about in 2020 and moving into 2021. The next book was a little bit unexpected for me, but it's called Far Sector. Now, Far Sector is a book by N.K. Jemisin with artwork by Jamal Campbell. Now, I talked to you guys about Naomi by Brian Michael Bendis, which also had artwork from Jamal Campbell. That artwork was excellent, and this artwork is excellent. If you needed a reason to check out any of these books, the artwork is worth the price of admission alone. Now, I will say, Far Sector, for a little bit of a summary, is about a new Green Lantern. Her name is Sojourner Mullen, but she just goes by Jo, or Lantern Jo is what they call her on this planet. She is sent to be the Green Lantern of this planet incredibly far away, thus the name Far Sector. And it's a planet where there's not been any violent crime in centuries, but she's sent there specifically to solve their first murder ever, or in a long time. So there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in this book. You know, you get some political drama, political thriller, you've got your action scenes, you've got a mystery. There's a lot of commentary here. Now, what I will say is this was very sci-fi, and N.K. Jemisin is actually like an award-winning sci-fi author. Sci-fi is not really my thing. I tend to stay away from Green Lantern books because of it, but once I got through all the world building and trying to understand who these characters are, what the different species are, and why they're important, I was able to focus on the actual plot of the story and the parallels that the author draws between what's going on this faraway planet and things that we face right here on Earth. So very cool, very refreshing. We are 9 issues in, and it's a 12-issue maxi series. So I'm excited to see how this wraps up in 2021. Definitely on my recommendations list, though. All right, and the last book that really, really grabbed me, you probably can guess if you've been watching this channel, but it is, of course, The Other History of the DC Universe, written by John Ridley, with artwork by Giuseppe Camuncoli and Andrea Cucci, with letters and stuff, layouts by Jose Villarrubia. Very cool. I've really, really enjoyed this book. So The Other History of the DC Universe is kind of like a narrative or almost a prose with artwork within it or throughout it. What I'll do, let me open this one up and I'll thumb through it a little bit. So each issue in this series is going to focus on a different character, a minority or an underrepresented character, telling, their retelling of the events that you may know from the DC universe. So issue 1 actually focused on Black Lightning, Jefferson Pierce. And he's talking about how he got his powers, different things that he had to go through and endure, why he chose to fight the way he did. And, he goes through his kind of gripes and frustrations with other superheroes, whether it's Superman or John Stewart, Green Lantern. He's expressing his frustration and why he feels like, the Justice League isn't all it's cracked up to be. It's very cool. And I did a review of this issue. This artwork is very cool. But as you can see, there's no word balloons. It's really it's almost like a children's book, the way it's kind of illustrated, but very wordy, it's very much an adult themed book. But as wordy as it is, you can see all the words on these pages, but as wordy as it is, it's really captivating. It took a while to read, I won't lie, but I thoroughly enjoyed it and I could not wait to get another one. And so I think the next one drops in January or February, and it focuses on I don't remember who it focuses on. So yeah, but anyway, I really enjoyed the other history of the DC universe. I'll put this back in the bag later. And overall, it just told stories that, from a perspective that I could relate to a lot. You know, it was very hard for me to get into certain superheroes because I felt like the stakes weren't high enough, or they're so far off. They weren't dealing with the real world events, which is why I like street level heroes. This puts that in perspective, but it also puts it in perspective from the point of view of a minority character who is also dealing with the subtext, or, you know, other part of the fact that they're black in America, or, you know, they're a certain minority. They feel underrepresented, not seen, you know, unheard, all of those things. So it's very cool to hear that perspective, even of a, you know, B, C, D list superhero in the DC universe, and understanding that the reader's perspective is heard as well. So that was a book that I was very, very excited about, and I cannot wait to get the other 4 chapters in this series. I really hope like this sells amazingly and we can get a huge hardcover. That would be I'd be ecstatic for that. So those were the series that I was most excited about in 2020, and that I'm most excited about seeing continue in 2021. Now, I will say I am also excited to see what's going on with DC's future state. This Far Sector Green Lantern is going to be in the future state title. We've got Tim Fox taking up the mantle of Batman in future state. So that's exciting. And I definitely want to see what's going on in the X-Men's universe during this new Reign of X event. But I want to know from you, what are you excited about seeing in 2021 in comics? Is there a certain hero that you feel like has been, you know, getting really good, or you feel like there's something that someone should be doing more with? DC just announced a whole lot of creative teams. I'm going to be picking up Green Lantern for the first time starting in March. So overall, I'm excited. There's a lot to be excited about in this upcoming year in comics, but I want to know what you're excited about. So let me know in the comments below. I hope you saw something that you liked. I hope I showed something that you liked. And if not, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Make sure you read what you buy, and be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.